we're live.
Yay!
It is rainy day. Yeah,
It's been rainy for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. So it's quite a mess here. Hopefully you don't have to hear any of that on the. Actually, let me get the air conditioning.
Sure.
Yeah, I got it.
Technical stuff is not my forte. That includes pushing a fucking button to turn off the air conditioner.
All right, that should make people listening on the audio only much happier that they don't hear a strange white noise sound in the
Coming
background.
to you from a bunker somewhere.
Yes. All right, there we go. All right, so that'll do it. Wow, rough start. I was reminding myself, turn off that. I need like a Post-it note or something on the.
But then you need a Post-it note to remind yourself to look at the Post-it
That's
note.
right. Yeah, well, I need one here with an arrow pointing up there. All right. So how's it going? So we missed you last week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's worth.
I'll take that meaning. My presence was wanted.
Yes, it was.
I was not here.
No, it was definitely. Yeah, I had a couple of topics that would have been fun. We're talking about
nice.
the Everyday Heroes, a revival of the modern D20.
The thing that's going to have a Pacific Rim.
Yeah, all the license. Yeah, so I was curious what you thought about that, because they must be paying. So they are paying for probably the name, like to use all the names and locations and setting and everything, but they're probably not paying for likenesses for the celebrities, so they can't draw Sylvester Stallone as Rambo because that would be another.
I was trying to figure out what role Sylvester Stallone played in Pacific Rim. I was on a blank. Okay, yeah, no, you're probably right.
Yeah.
So it's probably like some IP.
So have to kind of generic, make them kind of generic looking characters, but that's John Rambo, kind of thing.
Maybe come up later, but like kind of isn't that as with any IP, don't you kind of want to play your own character in this setting?
Yeah,
but then if you're not doing, I can't remember the fucking names for Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah, I don't either.
Doesn't matter.
The Asian girl, the black guy. Thing.
If you're not
the
if
bully,
you're not playing those characters, how much of a IP's setting and IP do you actually need until it stops being a game with that IP? I don't know.
They said they're going to do, similar to Alien, 10 cinematic adventures each in the setting. So it would be pretty cool if they wrote, this is Die Hard and there's two cops in the ventilation or whatever. So you could actually play a movie, and if they structured it well, kind of like how Alien is doing, it's kind of, giving you this story in this setting, and it plays cinematically. And if they did that same sort of thing where it's reminiscent of it's another tower. You're stuck in another office building.
I've kind of talked a lot about it, not a lot, but a lot for this, since we have new topics. My thought is immediately disappointed it's kind of based on D&D 5e, just because that's my knee-jerk reaction. But I kind of also want to see what they do if it is sort of a cinematic thing, like instead of here's a campaign, it's more like, no, you're going to play a movie, then I kind of want to see what they do with it. Yeah,
if there's good writing or if those adventures are well done, and then you could just have the adventures and change the system. You could, if they wrote a good adventure.
I always tell myself that. I've kind of stopped telling myself on that because I have a limited amount of disposable income. But
right.
Some are much easier to do than others. But I'm still interested to look at them to see how it compares to an Alien cinematic scenario, because those are great.
Yeah.
And not necessarily just the mechanics, but just kind of how they're laid out and how it does feel like you're playing a movie. So, I want to see what they do with them.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I can't remember what else. There are a couple of topics that would have been fun to talk about. But, that was the one that stuck out the most. Was curious.
Oh, speaking of topics, what's this week?
This week. Oh, so let's let's get started.
Oh, my segue failed.
Sorry.
That's why I don't do them.
I gotta have that place I can cut. So let's get started. Oh, let me check the chat real quick before we get going. So hey, Matt, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah, sorry. The off day and everything, we missed a bunch of people. Because I did it on Saturday instead of on Friday. So it was a little disconcerting, but we're back at our regular time. So thank you everyone for putting up with that strange golden week. And let's get started for this week. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, The Last Prospector, supplement for Stargrave. D&D Beyond changes hands officially. A new D&D documentary, role players.
All right.
Coming.
LE or LL?
LE, yeah. Yes. And reproductive rights bundle on drive-through.
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing, and this sounds really fun. This is actually the second supplement. So Stargrave is kind of the sci-fi counterpart to Frostgrave.
Right.
Same author and same D20 systems, miniature agnostic. Very similar. You build a crew instead of a gang. And sci-fi stuff, and but this new supplement sounds really fun, and you really gotta give it to McCullough. He's just, ever since like Frostgrave released, he's just been knocking it out of the park with so many games and systems, and everything that supports it is done really well. And they did a second edition of Frostgrave, and it was compatible, backwards compatible. And just like, you got to respect this guy for doing it exactly how it should be done.
Right.
And I hope other companies are paying attention to both his output and the style, how everything is released. So the Last Prospector is a new campaign supplement for Stargrave that adds a couple of interesting new mechanics. So the basis of it is that your gang is hot on the heels, or I guess your gangs you'll be playing against are hot on the heels of a prospector who alerted you to a big score. So there are 10 scenarios in this, and of course it includes experience and loot with each scenario.
Cool.
But a couple of the different mechanics that change things up a bit are, there is a component called faction standing. So there are 6 factions in this world, and whoever you make happy, whoever you have a positive standing with, gives your gang bonuses.
Oh, nice.
So you'll get some positive, and I'm not sure if there's multiple. There's probably opposing factions.
Probably.
So you have to kind of choose one or another. But you'll have different kinds of bonuses, and your crew will have different abilities based on who they're favoring. And another thing is, because it's mystery kind of investigation based, the loot and rewards are kind of broken up into information and clues.
Okay.
And that determines, what you come away with from the scenario. And then also, the fun mechanic about that is the scenarios are not in narrative order. Whoever wins the first one, gets the most clues to the first one, chooses which one is next.
Nice.
So depending on who's victorious, they have the most information, and they can choose the direction.
That's cool.
That you go. Yeah.
I want to see how that works now, because when you said clues and information, even with Frostgrave and the Frostgrave scenarios, you didn't find out what your treasure was until you got it off the table and rolled, and that was kind of its fun little mini game on itself, unless you got crap. But I see how that's already kind of like hidden information, right? And there was a little bit of that in some of the Frostgrave campaigns, especially I think like the Hunt the Golem one or something. Like there were special tables you rolled on, and some of the things you could only get once, which kind of represented information or clues. But yeah, I like that, and I'm kind of glad to see. Not necessarily glad to see replicated in Stargrave, but the part about whoever has the most information getting to choose the mission that goes next is really cool.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, adding new mechanics, you're always like, is this going to throw the balance out for the game? But it sounds like this is great. It just gets you more involved in a narrative and a storyline within the game. I'm sorry, secrets and information.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, not clues. So that gives you investigation points, and those are what the victory points are in these scenarios. So yeah, it sounds really fun, and it's more kind of sci-fi Western themed. So you kind of start out in a saloon, like that's the first scenario, and it has more of that theme. So the previous supplement, the very first supplement to Stargrave, was called Quarantine.
I want to say 47.
Yeah, something, and that was more of a maybe kind of Alien or Space Hulk kind of thing, where you're stuck on a ship and investigating a ship, and there are horrible things, zombies.
There always are
horrible things.
I have to wonder, it's a fun trope, right? Zombies in space on a ship or whatever. But you got to wonder, hopefully, if we ever get to the point where humanity is actually doing that, they'll just go, no,
right?
no, no.
Yes, yeah. We'll avoid all derelicts from now on. Yeah, Quarantine 37. Sorry.
Oh, 37.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so already there's a couple of supplements to play for the game if you've already made it through all the scenarios included in the core rulebook. So that's great. And if you don't know McCullough's work, please check out Frostgrave, Stargrave, Rangers of Shadowdeep, and Silver Bayonet. Those
and Ghost Archipelago.
Oh yeah, and Ghost Archipelago. Right. Yeah. So those are all miniatures, skirmish games that have official miniatures, but you can use anything you want. And they all have different, and Rangers of Shadowdeep is a solo narrative game. I mean, there's so much.
I wonder. I've only looked at, Frostgrave extensively, but I wonder how similar mechanics-wise the games are, because if Rangers of Shadowdeep has a solo mode and a little AI thing, I wonder if you could adapt that to Frostgrave or Stargrave or one of the other ones.
Yeah, there was a tease about a forthcoming solo co-op expansion. So yeah, we may be getting something like that. And and I think even in Blaster, McCullough released games like solo games that you could play that they were simplified, but kind of a similar rule set. But it's really fun. I mean, if you enjoy game systems and game design, following his career and following the evolution of his systems is really fun. You can see his inspirations and also see logically where he thinks things are lacking or wants to move into different directions. So it's a lot of fun, and because it's skirmish, it's a reasonable number of minis and.
Unless you decide to do I'm going to do multiple factions, like my dumbass does. Yeah.
Right. So so a really excellent thing. So check that out if you haven't, and I'll put a link to the digital versions of everything below, and that of course helps us on the cast because those are affiliate links. So give us a few pennies for our credits, for our trouble, our credits on DriveThru. All right, so a big handoff is happening soon. Not quite yet, but as of this recording, it's pending. So the official transfer of ownership is happening next week, May the 18th, as D&D Beyond moves into the hands of Wizards of the Coast. So the transfer, so they're notifying people because current users of D&D Beyond, because you will have to, there'll be a few things that you'll have to kind of agree to and change. So there's a new terms of service. So the accounts are going to be moved over to Wizards of the Coast accounts. Extra permissions are going to be made. So their statement was, on May 18th, 2022, or soon after, your D&D Beyond account will transfer to Wizards of the Coast, at which point you're going to have to agree to the Wizards terms of use that will apply to your use of D&D Beyond, and Wizards privacy policy, which will apply to the personal data associated with your account. If you're located in the EU or the UK, then it's then you'll become the data controller of your personal data once it transfers. I guess because the EU has different privacy rules. But the big question, like we've already seen involving fandom, right? Fandom is, what does this mean for user content and homebrew and stuff that people have already been uploaded? Well, and Wizards have said that, they initially said in the kind of FAQ, they officially said permission to put your user content on D&D Beyond and its services. So we're working to increase the permissions of the scope. And so does that mean that Wizards will own your content? Wizards has no intent of taking ownership over user content. If anything you put on D&D Beyond and the terms of service will not grant us these rights. Permissions we will need for user content will relate to allowing us to operate the service, just including display of displaying that content on our site.
Right. Yeah, because if you didn't give them permission to display the content on the site, you wouldn't be able to use anything.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was good. That was a bit reassuring because the previous owners of D&D Beyond may have made things a little more difficult. And I didn't know that D&D Beyond was actually purchased in that Curse Twitch. So Amazon bought Twitch. Twitch bought Curse, or I guess it's still Amazon. And Curse did own fandom and all of that stuff in there. But then Amazon released it so it was its own thing. I'm not sure how many years that has been ever since I guess they bought Twitch. But that's interesting that Amazon at one time could have been, controller of this, but they I think they've only done that. They very rarely have done that. I think Scholastic and this Curse fandom thing were the only things they've ever bought is a big, part of something and then let go independently. So I guess that's benefited them. But what does this mean, though? I mean, basically now Wizards has a walled garden of D&D.
Right.
And
I was going to say, haven't they kind of always?
Yeah, but still, if you're on Roll20, there's still, in the store and things. If you're browsing D&D, there's still, what's this system or what's this character sheet? There's still like free assets that will lead you to other things. So discovery is going to be, more limited. And as people go to digital only in a walled kind of situation, then they're not going to find out anything unless someone is, telling them or trying to pull them into another system. So organically, there's going to be much less discovery if someone gets into the hobby through 5e and just like stays in that world.
Oh, it's kind of what people who get into. Anyway, okay. I have never, I don't believe I have ever used D&D Beyond. I have very limited experience with like virtual tabletops. I didn't even really know that you could use custom content in D&D Beyond. Like I knew D&D Beyond had like their packages and stuff you could buy. I knew Mercer's Blood Hunter custom was up there because Critical Role won't shut the fuck up about it, right? But I thought that was kind of like an edge case where here's something that was made for D&D Beyond and, of course, uploaded to the site so you could buy it. I thought it was largely most like a rules reference kind of thing. So it's nice to hear that you can upload custom content to D&D Beyond. I'm sure it is going to be like a walled garden, but my impression, ill-formed, is that if you were using D&D Beyond, you were probably only purchasing stuff from whatever site D&D Beyond was part of, right?
Right.
So I don't think this is going to make a large number of people jump ship, right? Like if you liked Roll20, you're probably going to use Roll20. If you liked D&D Beyond, you're probably going to continue to use D&D Beyond, and you're only going to probably look for stuff for sale in whatever marketplace or thing D&D Beyond has. So more of a walled garden. I don't think it's going to be that big of a change.
Yeah.
Completely knee-jerk reaction. I don't know.
Yeah, and I hope because this is, Hasbro and Wizards and they have publishing, experience and things, that this means we see codes in books instead of here's a physical copy, here's a now go buy the digital for the exact same price.
Right. That's I remember on social media, like when this was kind of announced, that was the big thing. Several people were saying we were kind of like, we'll gladly pay $5 more for like a code in the book so that buying a physical book gets you access to that thing on D&D Beyond instead of having to buy it 3 times.
Right. So. Yeah. So Games Workshop has successfully done that with their codices. They have a nice long code in there that opens it up in their apps. So hopefully that same sort of thing could happen. But at the same time, if it's only the money people looking at this, they're going to say, why would we lose this revenue stream? They have to buy the books. Somebody has to buy those books. So why are we giving up that, that 200%
Yeah.
markup?
I don't know. But I mean, you do that. Well, I mean, that's what people are kind of already doing. But I guess maybe people could stomach it because it was different companies. Now that it's the same company, hopefully the money people would have some kind of calculations they could do. Or like, okay, if we don't do that, we'll lose this many customers, and if we do it, anyway.
Yeah.
No, I think fandom for Cortex Prime does that because my Cortex Prime book had a big old code.
Oh, nice.
In it.
Oh, okay. So it was already possible.
Yep.
But maybe with the deal that fandom had with D&D, that wasn't happening. Well, cool. So related to the speaking of physical books, D&D will be permanently removing 2 books from its 5e kind of offerings. So the Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes are gone as of May 17th. That means digitally.
Digitally, okay.
Yeah, because they've been and so that means they're not going to be there's not going to be any further printings. And because they have they've removed alignments, like default alignments and things, edited all of this content, or a lot of this content, not all the fluff and everything, but into the Monsters of the Multiverse, that new book that was included in the box set.
Okay, so it's not like there's a problem with it. It's we realize a lot of it is duplicated in this other book, and these are kind of extraneous.
Well, it was edited. Yeah, it was edited. So there was a problem with it because they're trying to get the monster alignment thing under control. So that is what the Monsters of the Multiverse kind of intended to do. So the monsters included in those 2 books are now going to be combined into that one volume. But those original ones are not going to be available, which means we lose the lore and some of the writing, of those books, which won't be reproduced. So I guess there's been no word about about. I mean, I've already seen prices kind of spike a little bit on Amazon, but there's no word on how much, what kind of stock they still have and how much that they're going to sell. But I thought that was interesting. But they did say though that if you have purchased these digitally, that they will still be available.
Well,
they won't remove your purchase.
So they're not going to pull
books.
like an iTunes or an Apple, where they're just going to like that thing you bought.
Right.
You don't own it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they'll just remind you or mark it and say, this information's been updated, just so that if it's the first time you've seen it, you won't be completely screwed. Right. But this marks the first time that there's been a wholesale delisting from D&D Beyond and their published book. So that was a funny thing added to the handover that I thought people should know about in case you're a collector, in case you want all of those.
I don't think we have that many D&D watchers.
That's right. That's true. We have
which I take full credit for.
There's D&D hate watching. That's all there is. Well, speaking of hate watching, good segue. XTR has announced, XTR is a global documentary studio. Okay. They have announced a new documentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And this kind of like extends the same, I guess, argument as D&D Beyond. Like they're starting to make this like, this identity and this lifestyle brand out of D&D. And I think this documentary is going to try to help them as much as possible to do that.
Here's your tagline, D&D. Goop for gamers.
Goop for gamers. What do those candles smell like?
Exactly. There's already fucking candles, bathrobes, all that. Just go full Gwyneth Paltrow and make goop. Just don't shove those miniatures anywhere.
So a brand new documentary that is going to kind of follow the popularity of the game from its inception all the way to 5th edition, and was kind of the filmmakers were inspired by the success of 5th edition and kind of culturally how it's has a bigger presence. So the director of the film is Morgan John Fox and produced by Ted Speaker, and they have already produced a kind of geek documentary called The Hobby about the trading card hobby. Yeah, the TT or CCG kind of.
TTRP.
Nope.
TTCG. You're right. Sorry.
Right. And so they do have experience in this, and their release was currently in production. The documentary comes on the heels of Paramount and E1's announcement of the title of the upcoming narrative piece on the same obsession. So Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves was the Paramount movie. They released their title recently. Hasbro has reported explosive growth on the franchise as a result of a major theatrical release in March 2023. And so using never before seen archival footage, interviews with high-profile celebrity D&D fanatics, role players, the title, will tell an all-encompassing story of Dungeons and Dragons, from the game's origin story to the cult-like devotion of its players. The documentary will explore the power of living in a fantasy world that you can have on real-life connections. So I guess I'm going to talk about the social aspects of it. But so they're directly involving Wizards of the Coast, former TSR WotC representatives, celebrity players.
TSR 3 people?
Hopefully, Justin Lanessa is involved. Celebrity players, streamers, game experts, journalists, and authors. So they'll talk to a bunch of people. And the thing that makes me kind of a little bit is celebrities. So we're going to see Vin Diesel and the typical like, wow, he plays D&D.
I think we're kind of past that a little bit, because for a while it felt like it was like, whoa, these celebrities play D&D, and that was kind of the main point. But like I think we're kind of past that now, and not that I'm that part of the D&D hobby, but it kind of seems like we've moved on from celebrities being interested in D&D to there being D&D celebrities.
Right.
I don't think miniature wargaming has passed that, because we're still at the, whoa, Henry Cavill, what was his name? Look, he's spending more. Like, it seems like tabletop wargaming is still at the celebrities do it, it's cool now kind of.
Right. That's true. Yeah, so obviously, so this film will be released in 2024, perfectly in time with the 50th anniversary of the game. So they're kind of going to cash in on that.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like a wank fest thing.
It very well could be. I don't think. Yeah, they're just going to show those touching stories. This person was socially awkward, and now they're the king of their castle. But the director said, as as a director, I'm excited to tell the story of D&D, which at heart is about the true power of learning to work as teams, consuming and creating inclusive narratives. And there's nothing more exciting than a legendary game that rose to fame with a little help from the era of Satanic Panic. So yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah,
I'm having a negative reaction here, right?
Yeah,
and my negative reaction is that could be said about any role-playing game. And D&D is the most popular one, but I kind of have this cringe reaction when I see D&D as being lauded as this massive like team building exercise. And we all learn to come together, and thinking of all the horrible GMs that have like broken groups because they have their story they want to tell.
Right.
And like horror stories of people playing games getting yelled at because their character didn't do the correct thing. So I don't know. It's kind of this thing like any role-playing game can be a team-building exercise, shared narrative, hippie bullshit, whatever buzzwords you want to throw at it. Any TTRPG can have risen from Satanic Panic thing, right? It's just, I think D&D gets this status because it's the most prominent one.
Yeah. It's the Xerox, the Kleenex. Yeah, that's true. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of.
No, I have imagined for the wrong reason. People with a stack of D&D books under their bed, since it's the Kleenex.
Oh, yeah, right. And they just tear pages out
exactly.
as needed.
That was my thought. Sorry. That was that laugh right there.
Oh, man. But, we'll see. I mean, it's just going to be part of this whole celebration. I'm sure Wizards is going to push this really hard because it's become such a, it's competitive with Magic as far as the attention and revenue it's generating for them. So we shall see. But I guess this last part, I guess we can start a new no segue. We start a new segment called "What's Wrong with America?" I don't know. Yeah.
Oh no.
But Drive-Thru RPG has a new bundle called RPGs for Reproductive Justice. So it's 57 games for $25, and actually it's
less than 50 cents a game.
It's growing as well.
Yep.
Like they said that people are contributing even more, and so for our foreign listeners, this is going to make very little sense about why this is still an issue. So in the wake of the leaked Supreme Court decision, which will invalidate Roe versus Wade, which federally guaranteed access to abortion services.
More importantly, sorry, getting political, hinging on just simply the right to privacy.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the original. Yeah. So that was and without getting crazy political about this, this is just a the Hydra Cooperative and Indie RPG Co-op is doing this RPGs for Social Justice bundle. And like I said, it includes 57. Some of the highlights are Unbound, Star-Crossed, Nightmare on the Necropolis Express, and the full list is available. It's a lot. It's a lot of really fun stuff.
Like 57 games.
Yeah.
And growing.
Yeah, and also a recent inclusion was Fate's Accessibility Toolkit from Evil Hat.
Nice.
Was a late joiner. But yeah, this is. I mean, I've heard people talking about this. And they're saying that you can look at the Roe v. Wade decision as the beginning of the culture war in the U.S. because the government has used this issue. This could have been resolved. Several administrations had complete power to codify this, resolve this issue, and make it just a guaranteed, medical right, a health. But they don't even have health insurance, but a right. But instead, it really fires up both bases on both sides.
Sure.
So conservative and liberal. So that was kind of the beginning of.
I don't even think it's want to say liberal anymore.
Yeah, right. Here's a topic, or here's a subject that will get both sides fired up. So there is no benefit in resolving this because this gets people to vote. Because the thing that you're hearing now is you're outraged. Isn't this amazing that this is happening? Vote Democrat.
Yeah.
So it's just being used. So it's so frustrating that we do need to have charity bundles, and we do need to be supporting people that are going to lose access to women's health services in this way because it's so useful that they can't give it up. And it's kind of the flaw of America's two-party system is if you have an issue like this, you can't ever resolve it because it's too good for both sides.
Yeah,
join us in the fight. Keep fighting for it.
Yeah.
It's, really?
Aren't you outraged? Don't you wish we would do something about it? $12, please.
Right.
Yeah. No. The personal analogy, because this happened while I was up with the in-laws for Golden Week, and I promised my kid on the way back maybe we would stop at the big Daimaru department store because she's become obsessed with Pokemon now because the Pokemon Center is there, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I kind of realized, I'm kind of using this as a carrot at one point because the threat of not going to the Pokemon Center or the reward of possibly going to the Pokemon Center could motivate her to do these, like, kind of alter her behavior. But then I realized, okay, as soon as I definitely say yes or no, I don't have that carrot anymore. Like, as soon as the idea of you have misbehaved to the point where we are no longer going, she has no incentive to behave anymore, right? And as soon as I go, yes, we're definitely going, you kind of do whatever's okay. Yeah. And I realize, wow, I get it now.
Yes.
I get it now.
You have. You've created what, Schrodinger's Pikachu or
Oh,
something?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it lives in both states of existing and non-existence.
Yeah, both in and out of the Pokeball.
Right. Yeah, but that's very true. And I think that's maybe hard for people on the outside of the kind of American political system to understand. But it's just the government actively pits people against each other in this way that is so useful for them maintaining their careers, for stimulating voter bases, for donations and everything. It does nothing for people. It serves people, people's health needs and social status and basic welfare in no way whatsoever. And it, in fact, undermines it in a lot of ways because there's going to be, if this does happen, there's going to be a lot of people in the rural South that will just lose access that is going to be a plane ride away, healthcare services that will now be a plane ride away.
Yeah. So, basically, what this is like kick it back to the states and say each state gets to decide. Right. And one of the other things that people have brought up, it's like, wow, okay, this kind of case was like the linchpin for a lot of other stuff that was privacy, including like same-sex marriages, interracial marriages, all that stuff. So as soon as you go, nope, this gets kicked back to the states, to decide on a local level, it opens up a whole bunch of other things that could be like, yep, we'll let the states decide.
Right.
So in the near future, it feels like you could travel like across state lines
and be married,
and be married or not married. Yeah, which is anyway.
Yeah, no, it's just insane that they're playing these games and that they had that kind of fake vote. They rushed a bill and had this. They knew what the split that's what was going to be, and it's just this. We got to get everybody to sign
performative. And I agree with the outcome. I think I'll disagree with you slightly. Saying that government does this kind of makes it seem like they know what they're doing. I think my feeling is like each of the two parties in the U.S. have figured this out and continue to do it rather than this big.
Oh, right. I don't think it's like the structure of the government. It's the political, and it's the two-party system that has like this works too well. So I think in like a parliamentary, like multiple party system where there has to be like cooperation to get a majority to create a government, this could never happen. But you can take one issue, cut it in half, and say, okay, your shirts, your skins, let's play.
Yeah. Well, it's also like getting political here. Sorry. It's also like. Why nothing ever really seems like it gets done in the States, because at least Democrats, liberal sides, know, like, okay, we're going to play, like, this can't get resolved, so let's cooperate and play along, right? And it's just like, nobody, no. And sorry, yeah. I'm just going to explode.
It's frustrating. But at least you can get some cheap RPGs and support a charity that's supporting women.
More important than the cheap games is
supporting
the place your donation goes, probably.
Right. Yeah, so if you are in a state that is in danger of losing that access, please consider donating, or at least finding a way to help that not be a thing, or get politically active in your state and put pressure on your local politicians to actually do something.
Listen to you,
this.
Which is not what they can do.
Anyway.
Right. Anyway, back to the bundle. Like you said before, with other itch bundles, the good thing is
drive-through.
It's drive-through.
It's drive-through. Yeah. It is,
I'm sorry, it's drive-through. I thought maybe I'm thinking of another one on.
There may be. Yeah. There may have been.
Cool. Yeah. If there is an itch one, then the benefit of itch is you can pick and choose what you download. You don't just get dumped everything.
That's a fair warning to people. Yeah. So bundles on drive-through.
It's a massive zip file.
Yeah. Well, and you get everything gets loaded into your library, and those creators now have access to your email and may spam you because you are now a customer.
I think you have to spend a couple promotion points.
Oh.
Because as someone with a few titles on Drive-Thru RPG, you earn this currency called like promotion points, which you can also buy. I believe sending emails directly to people costs you a certain number of those promotion points. It does. Big publishers are going to have millions of them. But that is a good point. You do get put on a list, and people are able to contact you directly through that thing.
Yeah. So that's something I noticed that's very different from Itch. So Itch, you have a lot more flexibility and a lot more control. And Drive Through, I'm like, when did I buy something from these guys?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, bundle. Right. Yeah.
It was in the bundle. So I'll put a link to that, and keep an eye out for other, because I'm sure Itch is doing the same sort of thing. Keep an eye out for other things, and anybody outside the United States, just look and wonder at how a country could be so confused about a very basic need.
Except they're not. It's all down to money and power. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. So I should have ended on something different. I should have put these in a different
positive
order.
note. How about this?
Yes.
Sludge Head's finally arrived.
Oh yes, that's right.
Finally.
Yeah. So and looking good too. I like the variety.
That's
of them.
kind of a weird. This is the first time I work with resin. It's kind of weird. I don't know if it's the resin, because like these 6 heads, you get 6 heads to a sprue. The sprue is kind of flexible.
Oh yeah.
Like everything's still kind of flexible, and the material is fairly, not like super soft, but it's definitely softer than the hard plastic stuff that I'm used to working with. Like it's snipping off real easily, and it's cleaning up real nicely. But I was kind of surprised at like, oh wow, that's got some give and flex.
Oh, I went to it. So
it's resin pour, not 3D printed. So
okay. Yeah, interesting. I wonder. Yeah, so just be careful airborne, like getting anything airborne when you're taking off.
Lines like I'm not doing anything that tight, like, because that's the resin I'm used to. Where this feels much softer.
I wonder, because that new, like that thermoplastic resin that the Chronopia and then now Warzone will be made out of is it's a resin that can actually remelt down, but it is a little bit more flexible. It has some flex to it. Maybe
this is something similar. Yeah, but anyway, the detail on these heads is super crisp and amazing. And
that's nice.
Perfectly scaled for the Perry miniatures, so nothing looks
great.
Big and weird, because that's what they were designed for.
Right.
Still disappointed it took as long as it did to get here.
Yeah, but I guess that's with the situation we're in, a smaller companies are at the their manpower plus the wonderful shipping situation. So things are delayed to the Japanese archipelago.
Yeah, I've been spamming all my social media feeds with pictures of that.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to see that, just go to any of my social media feeds.
Yes. So of course there's links to that, so you can check out everything Chris is doing with with Sludge, and we're gonna have to play some Sludge here once we
finally
get
getting. I don't think I have enough bases.
Oh no,
I ordered a crap ton of bases, but we're like between all like the 40mm round line infantry, and I'm like, this action is going to be mostly cavalry, which is also 40mm. I'm like, I think I got to order more 40mm bases. Yeah, but hopefully.
Nice.
Soon-ish.
Yes.
Sometime. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if it's just bare plastic.
Right. Nice. Yeah. Now that there's new supplements for Stargrave, we got to get through some Frostgrave and then get over to Stargrave.
Yeah. Or simultaneous.
Yeah. Yeah. We could alternate. Yeah. That might be fun too. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Kind of compare. Great. And and I did an interview over the weekend with the creator of Cthulhu. So we talked about that on the last cast. So Mikael Bergström was kind enough to give me some time to discuss kind of the origins of things, how it came. And the interesting story is how it came to Japan. I thought that was really fun.
Ooh, nice.
There was a Japanese streamer that was just like, let's look at untranslated Swedish RPGs on their live stream. And that got attention and got him the publishing deal. But I think you'll also really enjoy his approach, what he didn't like about Call of Cthulhu, and what is important in role-playing games, and kind of the role of the GM and those sorts of things. I think you'll really enjoy his perspective. I think he's been doing rule sets and releases for about 12 years.
Wow.
So this is not. I had no idea of his history. And he's like, this is probably my 12th release. I'm like, whoa. So has a lot of experience, and you can really see
a release a year. I respect that.
Yes. In the GM sections, he always wants to put, like, that's the beefiest part of a release, and has a lot of instruction, because we were talking about how there's so little of that, or things are just like, here's an example of play,
Right.
and there's not really like, this is what you consider. Or he even talks about doing flow charts and mapping how stories progress, and this will get them here, but there's multiple paths to that.
Nice.
To not make it such a linear slog. So really great. So that should be up soon. I'm about halfway through
cool.
editing that, so that'll be up over the weekend. So definitely take a look at that. That was a really fun discussion, and thanks again, Mikhail, for your time. And hopefully we'll see an English version of that sometime in the future. And there are his other works are available.
Oh, cool.
Or at least the one of the more recent ones is available on Drive-Thru. So links to all of that will go on that video.
Cool.
So that's it for this week.
That's it.
So where can people find you?
On Twitter, as always, and Instagram too, I suppose. It's HiveMind, HYVEMYND, which, as I said, is being spammed with sludge and alternatively Turnip 28 stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
So how about you?
And I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon. I missed last week because of the Golden Week kind of chaos, but I'm back to it. Yeah, back on it last Monday. So that's Monday evening, North American time, kind of Tuesday afternoon Pacific time, and I draw my single panel gag cartoon, Domestic Abuse. You can see the back catalog of that cartoon for 20 years, thousands of cartoons on Go Comics. So gocomics.com/domestic abuse, and abuse cartoons on all social media. The live stream of drawing that cartoon happens on both YouTube and Twitch, and I think you can even find it on Facebook as well.
Ooh.
And so join me for cartoons and chatting and Japanese snacks.
Yeah.
So I always eat something from a convenience store just to show you something strange. All the things that we have for sale here. But that's it for this week. If you'd like to support what we're doing, please consider becoming a patron. So patreon.com/upturntable, and be a weekling. A weekling is a pledge level that directly tells us you want to support what we're doing here on our weekly show. And there's many other levels, including the lore-based or just a very minimal, like, good job, guys, in everything we do. Upturntable.com is the website where you can find everything we're working on, and as well as downloads and things for stuff that we've done in the past. And so take a look and see what's there. We'll be back again next week doing this same thing. So we'll see you then.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye. All right.
I gotta bounce, but let me see what.
So be right back. Oh, I should bring up the chat, right? There we go. So yeah, it was good to get back to it. The schedule was hectic over Golden Week, so thanks for hanging in there and having that weird, that weird Saturday live stream. So yeah, hey Matt, how's it going? Oh, Small Endeavors, good to see you. Nice. Oh yeah, Matt. Yeah, we keep tempting Matt with Frostgrave and Stargrave. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, and there's somebody even wrote an article that narratively, rules-wise and narratively, Frostgrave is really superior to a lot of stuff that's out there. So that should be inspiring because you do create, they give you a setting, but you do create a lot of story within that, especially with the choices with Frostgrave, your magic user and stuff. There's a lot of great narrative things going on there. Nice. Oh, Small Endeavor says, yeah, I think Frostgrave already has a solo expansion out. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think, yeah, there's so much for the original Frostgrave. I would not be surprised. And it looks like Stargrave is going to get at least like a co-op solo kind of thing as well. Nice. Oh, Matt got filtered. There we go. Oh, yes. Wizards of the Coast. This is Matt saying, Wizards of the Coast is like, we are altering the terms of our deal. Pray we do not alter it further. Yeah, right? Because they could. I mean, they really could. If you want to keep your stuff on Beyond, let us sell it or, whatever. It's good, though, that they kind of came up front and said we're not going to try to take the rights. Because that was the problem we were talking about with Cortex and being on fandom. They were thinking more like software, so they're having trouble understanding why people would be upset that mechanics and things that they came up with would not belong to them. So everything about modern D&D feels like a walled garden. Yeah, the new wave of D&D players seem largely oblivious to all the other RPGs out there. Yeah, and I even heard a YouTuber say that he's run into people. I think he plays with a lot of younger generation players, and that they don't even know how to roll a character outside of D&D Beyond. That was their introduction, and they're just like, yeah, you just go through this website and you build your character. So I guess there is a character builder in Beyond, and that's most people's exposure to it. It's not a pencil and some dice. It's actually just clicking on options. So, yeah. Well, Matt said, I like Chris's take on the doc. I pay to see a role-playing with assholes documentary. Yeah, that would be pretty fun. Yeah, and hopefully there will be some actual fan made instead of just trying to benefit from the anniversary. But some people will get inspired to say, and I think you can find a lot of that on like Reddit and 4chan and stuff, that the nightmare stories about D&D groups and playing with randos on Discord and all that good stuff. Oh, man. Miguel, how's it going? Miguel said, welcome to what GW does or tries to do with miniature gaming, Matt. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, trying to keep everything. And yeah, with their app releases now and putting codes in books, they're trying to keep people. And like we were talking about before, the pricing thing with GW also makes sure that you don't have any disposable income left to even try another system or anything. Like if you're on the treadmill with Warhammer or Age of Sigmar, yeah, you got to keep up, and you have very little left for other hobbies and probably food. But yeah, it's crazy. And Matt said, comparing American politics to dealing with children checks out. Yeah, definitely. Miguel said, less than 1 week for Warzone Eternal. Yeah, right. And the Spanish Warzone crew are not very happy with the figures shown so far. Oh, no. Yeah, I got to catch up on what Alfie and everybody is talking about, because I know Alfie's been really on top of Warzone Eternal. He got some nice early information and early interviews and stuff with that crew. So, yeah, Matt gets filtered. I think it was the Christ that got filtered. Oh, sorry, did I read that comment? Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't Christ. It was Chris. I don't know why you got filtered. Yeah, I thought it said, "Oh, Christ's sake," but Chris's take. Yeah, I thought you that was the one that got. I think maybe assholes then. Oh, language, Matt, language. Yeah, but we should. Okay, we should do that documentary now that we found out it's so YouTube unfriendly. Gaming with assholes. Wow. You have to sell a child every time a new codex is released. Yes, it's very true. Yeah, if you just keep having firstborn children, then yeah, GW will be fine. Hey Quark, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah, I'm really curious. What Warzone is going to look like, and if they're going to be. I think Chronopia wasn't blockbuster. It didn't come out, they didn't, like, in the first 24 hours hit their goal, but they stuck to it, and they modified the campaign and kind of changed their messaging and changed options and offered new things to try to please people and what they were looking for. So hopefully we'll see Warzone do the same thing, as listen to the backers and have things make more sense, because I think originally it was very unclear that you could just choose everything in the pledge manager. So when they were showing all the options, people were like, okay, pledge this, and then where do I tell you? There's no drop down or anything when you pledge about which faction you're going with. So it was unclear how you could build things, and so that's always, I think, a challenge, because it's also based on what you're using for your back end, like what your pledge manager backer kit or whatever is going to be. So it'll be different for different people, and also explaining if look at what you want and just kind of pledge the whole total of it, so that it helps helps us reach the goal as soon as possible. That's never very clear for a lot of Kickstarters, but yeah, companies should explain that. So we'll see how Resnova does, and I hope for the best, because I think that's a really popular it's a really popular game. It'd be good to see it come back, and I just hope the miniatures look good. I'm very worried that there has been so little. Like, I loved what Chronopia did with every day a tease, a new piece of art, a new piece of information, a new 3D render. They just kept putting stuff out to kind of build up on the community, on the Facebook community, as much as possible, to get people excited for what they were doing. And they were very generous with their demo kits. I think that was a wonderful thing to see so many people with their hands on the miniatures and the rules. So that was really great. Say goodbye, Timmy. I need to get some Eldar, says Miguel. Yeah, they should just have maybe a slot at the Warhammer store. There should just be like a baby-shaped slot that you could just put your put your payment in. Oh man, yeah. I hope it. And we don't know the rules yet. Hopefully, there's going to be some demo rules, or some kind of a short version of the rules. When it comes out, they're having this may be a good and this may be a bad thing. They have a kind of a Kickstarter consultant, helping them with the release of stuff, and I think that's why they're kind of the date kept sliding for the launch of the campaign, as they were looking for kind of things to be optimal. Oh, and the other thing that I just read about Kickstarter is they're now. But if you've pledged anything and kind of hung out in comment sections on Kickstarter, it can get pretty toxic, and campaigns can go south, and people can actually start dropping out once things get negative enough, and there seems to be too many trolls backing everything for $1 just so they can be trolls. But there's new kind of mod rule, or mod, maybe, I don't know if it's software or whatever, but mod tools for that section. So they're trying to make it a little less toxic. And it's difficult for a thing like Kickstarter, because there are kind of like consumer rights and concerns. Like, people need to be able to ask questions about legitimacy of things and how are you approaching this. Ask these companies that are running these campaigns, what are you doing, and to get some clarification, because they can't tell you everything on that campaign page. But if there's moderation or admins that can then just delete stuff, they can clean up uncomfortable questions and things that come up that show the fraud or show the incompetence of a company running the campaign, can now just maybe delete it out of there. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad. So you get a lot of trolling and a lot of really miserable people in those comments, but also you get access to the companies, and you can keep demanding where's my delivery. Nothing's fulfilled yet. I love seeing old supposedly fulfilled Kickstarters that have a question in the comments from like yesterday that says, I still haven't received anything. So always fun. Yeah. Oh. So Miguel said that the main beef, as I understand it, was that the minis didn't keep up with the times. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Huh. So I wonder. Yeah, I've only seen that one. I think Brian Steele held up like one. What was it? A blood beret or something that he had put together just on his webcam for the stream, so we didn't get a great look at it. But hopefully, hopefully. And it's rough too because these sculpts have already been done. Not multi-part kits, but these sculpts have been done for board games and role-playing games and stuff previously, and there's all the proto stuff, and so they do have a bit of a it's going to be difficult because they're going to have to thread the needle between making people happy that it looks a little bit retro, but also that it's up to date. And we don't know the sculptors or the studio or anything. As far as I know, I haven't read everything, but I don't think we know who's doing the sculpts, so we don't have any details. But a lot will be revealed, I'm sure. On the 17th, we'll find out how they're going to do. The graphics and stuff look okay so far, so I hope. I don't know. And they wanted to get photographs of, a lot of painted miniatures and things so that things look as nice as possible. I think like Chronopia had to go with a lot of 3D renders because they were producing boxes and things like the demo set and everything. They produced very early. So they went with 3D renders for a lot of things. But when you saw the actual, minis in resin, they looked great. So, and actually I think in their case, in case of Chronopia, the 3D renders didn't do justice to the kind of dynamic poses and things of some of those miniatures. Some of them, didn't look great. the ones from the demo set looked physically, like once you saw the physical thing, they looked great, and I think much better than the that 3D render can do justice to. So we shall see. Oh, Matt said Free League just cited unforeseen problems for the delay of their the bestiary for Forbidden Lands, and they didn't explain what the problem is. I'm worried. I think Free League is growing too big too fast because I think I bitched last week about the misprinted dice for the One Ring. They really we'll send you replacements, no problem. We'll send you replacements. That'll be €20 shipping. Like every other game that's misprinted something, it just shows up. The corrected one just shows up at your door. So I don't know why they were unwilling, to do that. So they must be running into something. They must have relied too heavily on what is now an unreliable source in Shanghai or whatever, wherever the big troubles are right now. But that's too bad. I mean, but this is the growing pains. I think they're going to start, with that heavy reliance on Kickstarter and maybe not having their sources as solid as they could be. They might want to move stuff, back to the EU and start publishing things in Eastern Europe or whatever. Get away from China or whatever's causing the problem. I don't know specifics, so maybe it isn't China. But whatever's causing the trouble, but they are having trouble recently. That's not great, and that doesn't give me a lot of confidence with Blade Runner that we're going to see that anytime soon as well. There may be further delays because it's not over yet, the supply chain nonsense. I think we'll continue on. So we'll see. So we got a lot of miniature gaming to do. And hopefully Chris and I can get a game of Stargrave. And I definitely want to order those 2 supplements and take a look at the rules, especially the investigation mechanics, the information and secrets that serve as the victory points for those the Prospector scenarios. Those sound really fun. The Last Prospector scenarios. So I'll take a look at those. Wow. Yeah. I wish they would make the switch. I forget who it is. I'm so happy every time I get a book and it's like says printed in Lithuania or whatever. Just like, oh, thank God. And it's always excellent quality. I forget who it is that I always get books that I'm so happy that they're not printed in China. And so I'm so disappointed too that all the codices and printed materials coming out of Games Workshop is all China now, and they have their cute little way. They put the Union Jack on their box sets and stuff. They still are putting the Union Jack on it, and then it says printed in China. So they're doing that weird deceptive thing where it's a product, proudly, created, designed, or imagined in the UK and printed in China. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The zero tolerance COVID policies are not good for business. And it's funny because that seemed to be their big push, let's get through this as fast as possible, lock everybody down so we can get back to business as usual. And that seemed to be what they wanted to do. And now they're screwed with this situation that they're in. Yes. Yeah. No, that's really true because they have these weird. I have a student that I meet with weekly, and she works for a shipping company that deals with the big cargo ships moving around the Sea of Japan and mostly in Asia, and says, there's just so many things that are just completely shut down. There's just nobody that can work. There's just ports that everything just sits there because there's nothing to do, no one to unload things, and then. I'm not sure if it's still happening, but I heard that for a while the truckers in China were taking advantage of the limited number of truckers and the limited number of routes. And so anybody that would make certain routes would triple, quadruple their rates because they say, hey, nobody else is going to take it, so you pay my price or your stuff doesn't get to where it needs to go. And for a lot of merchandise and a lot of things, it's very time sensitive. So you got them by the balls. So we'll see. Yeah. So we may put an order into North Star. I'm curious. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what minis, because I do have some of the Mantic sci-fi minis from their tile-based game that may work. I've got a lot of random sci-fi stuff that might be fun. So I'll have to decide which way to go with Stargrave. But I like their kind of generic crews. They have that kind of 70s Star Wars look to them, so we'll see, and especially if you can do a lot of head swapping and stuff, that might be fun. But so hopefully a lot of games, and I still haven't perfected. I don't have a good location for the overhead camera. I haven't perfected how to shoot our actual plays for minis, but we'll get that going, and hopefully we'll get some tabletop. I really want to play a session of the Cthulhu, that rules light set for Lovecraft horror. I really want to try that out and do that as a live stream so you guys can see that and kind of hear us go through that, because I really liked what Mikhail had to say about the system and the gaming, and I think it'd be really fun to take a classic adventure and play it with this rules light set, just like the Enemy Within with Warlock. That's very appealing to me at the moment. So, Kill Team too. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've got the new Kill Team. I really want to try those Orc Commandos out, big time. Yeah, that's true. I could just do. Yeah, I could do. A whole Orky set of. I've got old Mantic orcs. I could do a really fucked up. I've even got some old Warhammer Fantasy orc bits that I could put together a pretty orky crew. That might be fun. That might satisfy, because I wanted to do orcs for a long time, so I have a couple of sets and kits, but I haven't done anything. I gotta figure out where Miguel is based and see if I can get a regular wargaming thing going on. That would be good. Oh yeah. If we do that online, Matt, I'll definitely hit you up. Yeah, because the rules, you won't need a copy of the rules. I can pretty much explain everything. During like a session 0 where we do character creation, I can explain everything that you'll need to know about the system because it is so rules light. So it'd be really fun to play. Yeah, I'll hit you up, Matt. That'd be good. Kobe. Oh, that's doable. Yeah, because we're in Kyobashi in Osaka, so there are lines that get to Kobe. I'll have to hit you up, Miguel. I'm really hurting for, especially with Warhammer Kill Team and Necromunda. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to play. GW stuff I like to play. So I will hit you up online. I got to get a regular thing going because I'm getting way behind. I don't paint enough, and I don't definitely don't play enough. All right. So yeah. I will let everybody know as things progress. And I still want to. I got to put my Chronopia script on the Patreon. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to do that this week, but that should be out soon and tide people over for the waiting for their Chronopia pledges to arrive. And they should be sooner rather than later because they're not dealing with China at all. The German company that's doing Chronopia. So hopefully things will go well. All right. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week, and we'll be back with Chris next week. I think we're into our normal schedule again, just getting rained on every day. So thanks for joining me, and I really appreciate you guys in the chat. It's very fun to get feedback from you guys, and especially on the topics we're covering every week. So and hit me up if there's anything you'd like to see talked about on the weekly, and we'll do this again next week. So take care, everyone, and see you then. Goodbye.